Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be doing some book recommendations based on different hot drinks. So I thought this was a fun idea and perfect for like autumn time. I've got a little mug here. I don't actually have any drink in this because if I start drinking now, well, day drinking, if I start having big cups of tea now, then I'll have another big cup of tea with my lunch. And then I'll just be weeing all afternoon, so I'm not going to do that. But my favourite kind of hot drinks is like herbal teas. Yeah, I recently got this new one's called Winter Warmer by Pucker, which I love Pucker teas, but they're really nice. It's like kind of, I don't know, it's like orange and cinnamon or something. They're very nice, very kind of cosy. So yeah, got my mug, even if it doesn't actually have a drink in. And we'll do some recommendations. So the first one I'm going to talk about is coffee. So I also don't really drink coffee because I don't like it. I have about one coffee a year just to remind myself I don't like it. But this book is coffee in a nutshell, and that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Yeah, this book has got so popular, as it deserves, and is now being like published by Tor, which is very exciting. But this book is basically about Viv, who is an orc who is like a mercenary, and she decides to retire from her life of being a mercenary and go to this new town and set up a coffee shop, but no one in the town has ever heard of coffee. So she has kind of a challenge on her hands, like build this coffee shop, like hire a few staff members to help with the coffee shop and make the coffee shop successful. That's basically the story. But you get so invested in this coffee shop and the characters in the coffee shop, like both the staff and the customers, and just Viv in general and her like inner motivation to like carry on through thick and thin, and the drink, it will make you want a hot drink, it will make you want a cinnamon roll. Like the food descriptions are like the biscotti and the cinnamon rolls, and it's just really good and would highly recommend. It's very like cozy and wholesome. It's, I think the tagline is like a novel of high fantasy and low stakes. I think we're getting a sequel, which is very exciting. I can't wait for it to get even more popular. Yeah, it's just really good. Would highly recommend. So yeah, and it will, even for someone who doesn't like coffee, it made me want coffee. So yeah, that's that one. And it's just that kind of, yeah, comforting hot drink. Yeah, okay. I'm going to talk about is hot chocolate, because I'm an absolute hot chocolate fiend. I have hot chocolates probably, like, I'd say maybe like 70, no, maybe 5 evenings a week-ish. And I'm a bit of a hot chocolate snob, so I like the Hotel Chocolat, like hot chocolate mix. It's like proper chocolate that's just grated up and then you mix it together. Yeah, it's probably not the best for you, but oh well. And I went to Leeds yesterday, like shopping for the day, and they have a Hotel Chocolat cafe there, which is very exciting, and so I had a hot chocolate and that was very nice. I think they probably use more of the like chocolate mix when they make it in the cafe, so it's like extra rich and chocolatey, whereas at home I try not to use too much. So yeah, that was very tasty. But the book I'm associating with hot chocolate is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. You will notice a theme in this video, that's a lot of cozy fantasy. But this was a book I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. It's like perfect for kind of autumn and curling up with a cozy hot drink. So following this character called Mika Moon, who is like, she's a witch, and in society there's not that many witches. There's probably about like 30 in the whole UK, and they have to keep themselves very like secret, and they're not allowed to like interact with each other or anything. But Mika is like a social media witch, so she kind of is undercover by being like obvious about it, if that makes sense. And she sort of toes the line with this, and one day she gets this message from this like person asking if she can go and train like 3 young witches. So she's like very puzzled by this, but she goes to investigate, and she gets this little house, and there's like these 3 young witches who, first of all, the like 3 witches together is like really bad, and none of these witches have been like trained, so their magic's a bit crazy. And also in the house, so there's this older couple, I think they're called like Ian and Ken, who they're great. And then there's like the housekeeper, who's also really great. And then this character called Jamie, who's like the librarian. I don't know why I just said it like that, but yeah. So Mika decides to like help them out and try and train these girls, and she sort of finds her place like within this house, and she's always had to move around a lot. And like not really had a home, and now she's like finding a home, and like I loved that aspect of the story. I really like the relationship between Mika and Jamie, and they're like romance blooming. I liked all the other characters. I liked the little girls, and seeing their magic like train. I love their little personalities, and yeah, it's kind of quite similar to House by the Cerulean Sea. So I'd say if you like that one, you really like this one. But I actually like this one more because I feel like it has more like interesting themes, and like I don't know, just like the characters and stuff. And yeah, it's just a very like cozy, wholesome book. So yeah, would recommend. Okay, then we have Herbal Tea, another one of my favourites. So for that one we have A Psalm for the Wild Bill and Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. These are like the perfect books for like tea and like curling up with a cup of tea. I don't know how to explain that. And so in the first book we're following Dex, who's this like garden monk, but then one day they decide they want to be a tea monk instead. And tea monks basically travel around the like cities, and people who have problems can come to them, and they get a special like cup of tea brewed for like their issues to like help them, and then they can like talk about it, and it's like tea therapy basically. And so Dex does this for a bit and then thinks that they want even more, like they want something else, so they go off into the wilderness. And the world, it's very like, I would say it's kind of solder punky and very like post-apocalyptic. It's like very sort of botanical and like eco-friendly, that kind of world. I really like it. Becky Chambers books are just so good at giving you hope for the future. And when they're in the wild, so Dex meets this robot called Mosscap, and like robots and humans haven't had any interaction in years, and so Mosscap's like the first robot that's been spotted in ages. And so then Dex and Mosscap have these interactions. It's called the Monk and Robot series, or the Monk and Robot book, yeah. And then Prayer for the Crown Shy is just more of their adventures. They're just so cozy, and they just give you hope for a better world, and they just feel like a nice little break from the world. Like you have a cup of tea, you read one of these books, like it's just really good. So I'd highly recommend both of these, the series. Becky Chambers books in general, I would highly recommend. Okay, then we have like normal English breakfast tea, and for this series I'm going to recommend Realm of the Eldlings. I don't know why, but to me it is like a cup of tea. Like it's comforting, but it's bitter. And you need, well, yeah, I don't really drink normal tea, to be fair. I didn't like it that much, but yeah, I like it on occasion. But yeah, I like Realm of the Eldlings. And I feel like it just suits, like Fitz as a character just suits like tea. I don't know. Yeah, so Realm of the Eldlings is a big favourite series of mine. The first book, Assassin's Apprentice, is about this character called Fitz, who discovers he's like a bastard son of the prince of the Farseer line. The Farseers are like the royals. So he gets recruited to kind of work for the royal family as like and is trained in secret as like an assassin spy. And by this character called Chade, who's like the court assassin. So it's basically about Fitz like going to the court and growing up and learning his secret trade. And then the series just progresses and becomes more about Fitz and the political drama and the magic. So there's two types of magic in the world. So there's skill, which is like the Farseer royals have, which is where they can like talk mind to mind. And then there's the wit, where characters can like talk to animals. And there's a lot, the wit especially is seen as like a bad magic, so there's a lot of drama, especially in like the second Fitz trilogy with the wit magic. And then also in the rest of the series there's like dragons. There's all sorts. It's a great series. But yeah, so would highly recommend Realm of the Eldlings. And then we have a matcha latte, which is my favourite kind of latte because I don't like coffee. So this book I've chosen Light from Uncommon Stars by Tor UK, and to be honest, I just wanted an excuse to put this book in here. And I don't really like, I feel like matcha is like, it gives you like long focused energy, and this book is more like, it gives you a very sense of like groundedness and calm. It has some like exciting bits, but it also has a very sort of calm, cozy undertone to it. That's the tenuous connection there. But so we're following this character called Katrina, who is a trans girl who gets kicked out of her home, and she's always wanted to be a violinist, so she runs away, I think it's San Francisco, and there she gets taken under the wing of this like famous violin teacher called Shizuka, but unbeknownst to Katrina, Shizuka has this deal with like a demon that she's gonna train like 7 violin prodigies and then sacrifice them to this demon, and Katrina is the last one. So that's going on, and at the same time there's this family of aliens who have come to Earth, like fleeing from their like war-torn galaxy, and there they are trying to repair their ship, but also set up a donut shop. It sounds crazy, but it does just work. And they are trying to like run this donut shop, and they're trying to like work out the secrets to like making a good donut. And then Shizuka and the main donut shop lady called Lan start a bit of a relationship as well, which I really liked. And it's just that a very like, the story is very sort of, yeah, cozy, but also dark, deep, and has some grassy notes to it. No, but yeah, so I feel like it's just a really good story, and there's so much like the kind of found family and like finding your place and finding what being human like means to you, and I don't know, it's just a really great series, and will make, it's very like, I feel like matcha is very like, you know, like spiritual in a way, and it's quite a spiritual book. Yeah, okay. Okay. And then the next drink is not really a drink, but you could drink it from a mug, and that is soup. And I love soup. Like, it's one of my favourite probably meals. Like, I don't know, well, it's not really a meal, but like having a bowl of soup and like a bread roll or like avocado on toast or something, I just love. I don't even know what my favourite kind of soup is. Ooh, that's a hard one. I think it depends, because like there's like some soups I really love if it's a good one, but then I've also tried that soup, like mushroom soup, like if it's a good mushroom soup I love it, but if it's a bad mushroom soup I hate it. Same with tomato actually. I feel like maybe that's just true of all soups. But for this series I'm choosing The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, and yeah, this is just a very wintry series, and I feel like I associate winter with soup, and that kind of hearty like fairy tale, you know, like a lot of kind of old fantasy books have that kind of food of like stew and soup and like bread and cheese and I don't know. And so this series we're following Vasya, who has grown up in this village, and she can like talk to little spirit creatures like in the woods or in the house. You remember what happens in the first book, but there's this character, there's this like Winter King character, and then there's this character called the Bear, who is also like a god. So they're both gods and they're kind of competing with each other, and Vasya sort of gets pulled into their like dynamic. And there's also this priest who comes to the village who is like kind of yeah, very like religious and fanatical, and Vasya's stepmother sort of falls into the thrall of this priest, and is very like cruel to Vasya. And so that's sort of what's going on, but I feel like the main bit of the story is just the atmosphere and like the wintry vibes, and it will make you feel cold, so you'll need a nice warm bowl of soup to warm you up. I don't know, I feel like it fits. So yeah, we're going with that one. Okay, so the next we have like hot lemon water with honey, you know, like when you have a cold and you just need something soothing. And this is a very like soothing, healing type book that I've chosen for this one, and that is the Poppy one. No, that was a joke. So I'm gonna choose A Master of Gin, and I feel like this book just, it kind of soothes your soul in a way. And also I feel like this sort of, it just, the like, this kind of, it's got a sweetness to it, but it's also got a bit of like, I'm trying to think of a lemon analogy, but it's got a bit of like zest to it. That was really bad. But yeah, so we're following this main character called Fatma, and she's like in this like Bureau of Special Investigations, and it's set in this like alternate Cairo, which is kind of steampunky. And basically in the book there's this like cult known as the Brotherhood, and they basically worship this like ancient mythological figure called Al-Jazid, but then this man comes along and claims he's like the second coming of Al-Jazid, and the whole Brotherhood get murdered. So then Fatma is on the case of trying to investigate what's happened with this murder and this like imposter, and it's really good. And she has this like new apprentice called Hadida, and their like dynamic is so funny. I love, you know, like the grumpy mentor dynamic. And then Fatima's girlfriend as well, Suti, she's a great character. She's very sort of like away with the wind type character, quite extroverted but also quite like flighty. Yeah, kind of like a lemon. She's like bittersweet. I don't know. These are really bad. But it's a really good book, and it's very like soothing because it's kind of, it feels like classic fantasy, but also it's quite light-hearted, but it has some kind of deeper themes, but it will just make you happy in your soul. And P.J. Jelly Clark's writing is really nice as well. Very like nice to read. So yeah. So let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for books you would pair with drinks. I feel like some of these connections were very tenuous, but you know. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're having a really great day, and I will see you next time.